bump in the night, and in the corner of your eye, what was that? What did I just see? A garage door locked, perhaps. Maybe. The corner of your eye. G'day, mate. How are you? 18 degrees here tonight. Beautiful day, wasn't it?
Yes.
25 degrees. Middle of winter. I'll have a quick squeezy and see how many of the kilowatts we've got. I'm guessing 22, maybe 23. Let's have a look. 23. It's not bad. Just getting ready for bed. Ooh, early tonight. Or are you getting ready for something else? Seems a bit early to go. You do realise, of course, that we'll be watching footy every night of the week for the next 30 days, I think. Kids' school routine. Well, hopefully you don't have many more of them outbreaks. The school will be okay, but won't take much more for New South Wales to clamp down, I don't think. Enormous number in Victoria today. Yeah, I think they're just going to shut Victoria down, I think. I don't think there's an option. Because having a border that's open but semi-closed due to regulations means some people would just lie, sneak their way through. Yeah, I mean, not wearing a mask is just stupid.
But I always say she knew someone that went from Victoria to Sydney.
Who?
And she knew someone that went from Victoria to Sydney.
Yep.
They went in, wanted to be tested. They turned them away.
Why?
Because they had no symptoms.
Well, that's not what they're saying. On the news, they'll test you if you think you have it.
Well, they turned them away.
Wow.
So they say one thing on the news, and they actually, when you talk to people, they do another. These people went in thinking, right, we're going to get tested, because they were allowed to go over the border, obviously.
See, New South Wales law, other than Albury and Wodonga, anyone returning to Sydney or New South Wales from Victoria has to quarantine for 2 weeks. There isn't therefore a but.
Well, no, they, I don't know, well, maybe they did. I don't know if they did or didn't, or they weren't meant to, or made to, but they went to be tested and they said, well, we've got no symptoms. No.
Look, I think 99% of Australians are dinky die about knocking this thing on the head the best they can. But there's just some people who are just, well, let's be honest, stupid.
But it is going to get to the point that everybody's just going to get tired of everything to do with it.
Well, don't get any option. At least in Australia, when they say lockdown, We do. When they say sort of semi-lockdown, wear a mask maybe, that doesn't work.
Well, don't tell people one
Yeah,
thing.
it's selfish as well.
But don't tell people one thing and say you've got to do this, and they threaten you with this fine, they threaten you with that, and jail and
Oh
all
no,
this
they're
other-
issuing fines.
Yeah, but they also threaten with all this other stuff. But then when people go in, and then they don't test them.
See, the thing is, Melbourne has most of Victoria's population. So just lock the whole state down. Just go back to what we did at the beginning. Lock her all down. Just essential workers, supermarkets, one member of the family goes to the shop. Just do it.
But you know what? You look around. I mean, you can't even say that 90% here are still self-distancing. They're not. You look today,
I still feel that they're avoiding each other.
we still do it, and we're honest in saying that, and we do it. But the last couple of times we've gone to the shop and I've looked around, no, a lot aren't even
Well,
doing it anymore.
Like all the barriers are coming down, like you saw today. Like a lot of those
Yeah.
perspex, they're gone.
Which,
But we don't have any cases here.
yeah, that doesn't matter.
I understand what you're saying, but
You said that there's still a law here. You read the law on what the fine is, yet
Yep,
they're taking
social
barriers
distancing.
down and they're not. So how does that work? Do you not think?
how it works is that social distancing still applies.
Okay, so leave the barriers up.
Well, okay, I'm not going to argue with you, but it's up to individual store owners to decide that.
But that's what I'm saying. Individual store owners, the girls down at that shop that we're talking about actually wanted them left. I asked them one day. They were quite happy that they was left up.
Well, they only last couple of days come down.
So it's up to the individual store owners. Yet somebody could.
But Coles was up today.
Coles, they're leaving theirs up apparently.
Yeah.
But well, classic example of other things that we know. Somebody could take a picture and send it to somebody.
Well, that's happening because there's enforcement officers doing just that.
But that's what I'm saying. Then the store owners are not being responsible by saying to the workers, right, we're taking the
I think it
barriers
boils down
down.
to, just boils down to very simplicity. We don't have any active cases in the community. We have, I think, 12 in quarantine that have returned back from overseas.
Yeah,
So
one-
no community transmission means that we're sort of back to normal.
Well, we had one Sheila come from Victoria. They let her in. Yeah. She promised to self-quarantine for 2 fortnight. Guess what she did?
Go to a party?
Yeah, she went to a party and she had the virus.
Oh, that was good of her.
But I don't know what's happened since.
Don't know.
But is that true? That was on the news.
I don't know. But I mean, we are very fortunate in Western Australia, let's be honest, but we all did listen to what was being said.
I know, but it's just like it's still not 100% in people understanding, even in this state. Like we said, the barriers are down at that shop, yet you can be fined for not social distancing, so we haven't actually gone to stage, what are we up to anyway?
4.
So stage 4, what is stage 4?
Well, each state does it differently. Our stage 4 leads to the last stage, which is stage 5, which is normal. And we are 2 weeks away from that. So they're just being precautionary, but they're not opening the border.
No, and even when we hit stage 5, they're still not going to open the border, are they? No. But I haven't actually read what stage 4 entails.
We just need to go to the WA COVID site and it tells you everything. It's still, they work on a 2 metre square metre principle, or 6 foot, as in pubs, bars, restaurants, all those sort of things. But I think, I'll be honest with you, the saviour for our state is we've closed the borders for 5 months now,
Oh, that's right.
and we're not letting anyone in.
So these planes that are starting to take off, they're obviously summer workers, but what else would they be?
Well, if they happen to be West Australians coming back here, they have no option. There's a bus waiting for them at the airport.
I know all
They've
that.
got to do 2 weeks quarantine, not at their house, in a
Yeah.
designated
I
place,
saw 3 planes take off
and they've got to
today.
have 2 tests.
I saw 3 planes take off today in a row.
Oh, there's about 25 planes to the mines every day.
Now, there's one of them, because it was daylight, could see it clear as a bell. One of them was Virgin.
So we'll go to the mines. Qantas and Virgin go to the mines. But we could fly to Broome tomorrow if we wanted to.
Well, that's what I'm saying. So there's within WA.
Within WA, it's not a problem.
But then, no, this was a big plane.
There's 3 flights to Broome every day.
Yeah, this was a big plane, so obviously it was so we're not flying out of WA to other states.
No, what it is, if you fly, say, from here to Queensland or the Territory, you're fine. It's just normal. You don't get quarantined.
That's probably what some of those planes
It's
are.
if you come from Victoria, you get arrested, first of all.
It just seems like the Victorians don't care.
Well, it's not a racial slur to say that they did find out that the celebration at the end of Ramadan, which is called Eid, where families get together,
Yeah,
they were advised not to do it, but they did it in their hundreds.
that's right.
And whole families have got it.
Because apparently people knew. This other thing, again, this is what they're reporting on the news, what people are saying, but is it true? People knew they had it, said nothing, and went to the gatherings.
I don't know that. That's,
No, that's
I
what
don't know
they
if
said
it's
on the
fact or not,
news.
so I can't make a point on that. But even the community itself, the Muslim community, kept doing broadcasts in different languages.
Well, Anne's got a friend in Melbourne, and she even said to Em, it's one particular group.
It doesn't matter whether it's a group or not, if they're not conforming to the rules. That's why they locked down those towers in Melbourne
Yeah.
for 2 weeks. But not in Melbourne, you have to wear a mask if you're outside or going inside to a shop. And if you don't,
But I want to know
you
more.
get fined, and if you are belligerent, you'll get arrested.
I want to know more truth than what people were complaining about, what food they were getting. Because I know some people can complain and there was actually nothing wrong with the food they were given. They're just being assholes. And then there were...
Well, I've got to tell you, some cultures don't buy food, they make their own food. So a lot of I read up on that in one of the articles where they just wanted their food delivered, not cooked food. And they were doing masses of cooked food.
And they were giving them some for them to cook. But apparently these groups that are getting...
Hello, Jojo. I ran out of masks, so I asked my elder neighbour if she had one. So I've been wearing a Kotex on my face all day. Still, it's protection, Jojo. And those winged parts will help your ears. That's good.
No, I don't know. So I don't think the truth's coming out on that.
But truth is an objective thing. It's like one truth from one person is a different truth from another. The point of the matter is, there's a big outbreak in Victoria. We have 0 here,
Yeah, I know.
but our borders are closed.
I
So
know.
there's a pretty simple solution to why we haven't got it.
No, it's just all the other little stories that come out. Because one group, whatever,
Jojo's saying hello to you.
yeah, said hello to them.
Okay.
Whatever religion, whatever they are, was cooking for their religion people that were in lockdown.
Well, that's good.
No, but they were complaining. They were saying that there was crap food and it wasn't the right food, yet it was their actual...
Look, I mean,
people.
I'm going to tell you, if someone cooks you and your ethnicity says you've got to have it cooked a certain way and you're used to doing it for 20 or 30 years, someone else cooks it, it's not the same, you probably would complain.
But there's...
You misunderstand. It could be the same meal, but not done the way that they like it.
well, it might be a different herbal spice in it, but what I'm saying is it was their same, it was people they knew, it was a group, the church, their church was cooking for
I have
them.
no problem. I just explained that. When people are used to cooking their own food and then someone else does it, it's not the same.
I know it's not the
So,
same.
and they're locked away. You've got to imagine the frustrations as well. They're locked away, they can't leave the building, let alone a stairwell or a lift. And so they don't have a choice, so they're going to complain.
I totally get it. But the food was correct, as in what it should be.
I've heard you 3 times now. I agree with you. It's the same meal. Let's say it's a masala. And then they deliver it, and the lady thinks, well, I don't cook masala like that. This is crap. You've got to imagine all the other frustrations that are going through, because they have like 5 or 6 or up to 10 people in a unit. So they're frustrated. And just a small thing like not the same type of food they're used to.
But that just, exactly, see, but
I'm not agreeing with their complaining. I'm saying I can see why they would complain.
yeah, but that just shows you how spoilt humanity is in one way that, okay, it's not nice, 2 weeks, get it, understand, frustration, boredom, feel like whatever. But they're not in jail, they're just there for 2 weeks to be safe.
You misunderstand. Each and everybody is different, and the build-up of frustration could lead to violence. And just a little thing, I can give you my experience. In the prison, you get someone who says, "This meal's shit, I'm not having it." And they'll throw it against the wall, and all sorts of shit, break furniture.
Yep.
And the only thing that triggered them was the fact that the meal they didn't like.
Yeah,
Exactly what would happen in those towers.
I can get that. I can understand a bit more of that in jail because you're in this tiny, piddly little cell.
No
And,
one,
we
no one
got-
was allowed to leave the unit.
That's right.
So they are going to be frustrated.
And what did we do for a fortnight? We never
Well,
left
we did
this,
for 6 weeks.
We never left this property.
No.
You had the foresight to stock up as you warned everybody.
Just a little bit.
You stocked up.
Not tons, but a little bit.
Yes, we could go outside. Yes, some of these units don't even have a balcony, so
No.
they can only open a window. Totally get it.
Go back to the cause, though. Forget the food, forget the frustration or the confinement. The cause is an outbreak.
Exactly. And that's the other thing I'm saying. These people that were locked down knew that they shouldn't have been doing what they did. They were told and they did it. It's like a criminal being told, no.
Well, I'm going to tell you that different cultures don't reason the same way that we do, and we don't reason their way either. Culturally, we are fundamentally different.
Okay,
So some of the little things that may bother them, we don't even think they're a problem.
So like,
Hello, Patty.
So the way they've locked down the suburb, stay in your suburb and be all good.
I have no doubt by the weekend Victoria will be locked down again, as it was at the beginning. I have no doubt.
The whole place, yeah.
Yeah. It's not working doing bits and pieces because people are...
Exactly.
So just lock it all down.
That's-
Shut it down.
That's what I'm saying. Some people...
And it won't be for
just-
2 weeks. It'll be like 4 or 6 minimum.
And it's not that they haven't been warned, they have been warned.
Oh, it's just a mathematical
You know,
game.
Common
When the
sense-
numbers keep going up, they'll shut it down.
Yeah, and common sense goes out the window. How you going, Paddy?
Just to let you know, people, we've been chatting about the situation, not in our state, not in Western Australia, and not in any other state, but Victoria, which is a southern state over east. Today they had 484 cases, and I know that sounds insignificant when you talk about the caseload, say, in America, but it's quite a big spike, so they're starting to shut things down. And you are forced to wear a mask. You're not asked, you're forced. Don't wear a mask, you get fined. Be belligerent, you'll be arrested. That's it. So, but that's not a full lockdown yet, but we're thinking that Victoria will be in full lockdown in a few days, which means you don't leave your house unless one of the people in the house is going shopping. That's it. No, they're not negative numbers. What they are numbers that someone else did. It's China numbers. It's all to do with the, abstract figures they use on those beads, on those rolling bars. It's to do with the China. The figures are great. Everyone's fine. I've seen people dancing in Kansas with red shoes on. It's wonderful. You've been around long enough, JJ. You know what I'm going to say next. The political system in America at the moment is a farce. There is no unity. There's division everywhere. Stupid comments, inflammatory words, threats. When you're in crisis in your own life, you don't go around threatening people and blaming other people for your situation. You take stock of what's there, what can you do, and then you basically say, right, we've all got to work together. Not just say we're going to work together. We're all in this together. They're just words. Blame,
Never
blame, blame.
Never gonna change.
I'm staggered the amount of videos just on YouTube. I watched one, and then in my feed there was about 30 of staunch Republicans saying, I'm not voting for Trump, I'm voting for Biden. And a lot of them say, I don't want to do it, but I've got to do it. I've got to forget partisan lines and think of one thing, my country. And they all have the same damn message. And I don't know how much of that is multiplied in the US, but it's going to be a staggering loss, I think. Because I'm not an American, and I don't care what party's in power I don't really care. I do care that that person reflects the values of the country and treats other countries around the world with respect. That's how I see politics in the US. I don't care blue or red, I don't give a damn. Just somebody who is humble, someone who is a leader, someone that makes decisions for the benefit of the people. That's it. New restaurant called Karma. There's no menu, you get what you deserve. Yes. I think that's in the White House cafeteria on the wall. And I understand people saying what they've been saying on YouTube videos. They're just individual people. They're not bodies or movements. But there are a lot of people, Republicans, who were in office, and I'll give you the big one. You obviously know George W. Bush. Whatever you think of him, he's voting for Biden. Like when you have a glass house, Mr. Trump, throwing stones is a dangerous practice. Hello, Buttercup. Now please, tell us, this saga of the garage door has been going on for about 30 days. Now you had a team of SWAT members come to your house yesterday using, armed officers, ramming speed. Did the door get fixed? The long pause. Everyone wants to know. Yay! And how was the food? Tell me the food was saved.
Could smell the stew all through the house.
Yum. Yeah, veg had to go, I imagine.
Hey?
As long as the freezer was still working, that's the main thing.
Oh, puppy's there.
50 quid as compensation. Well, there, you can buy a couple of steaks. That was kind of them.
Fixed, yay!
Oh dear. Kit Kat. That'll bring out VMAC without any issue at all. It's like a lure casting the Kit Kat into Lake Vic. Bang. There goes VMAC. Onto the chocolate.
So, did you find anything that you forgot you had in the garage for, what, was nearly over a week now, wasn't it?
I told the doctor, Doc, help me, I'm addicted to Twitter. The doctor replied, sorry, I don't follow you. Uh-huh. I believe it's true. The rumour is that Donald Trump is resigned to the fact he won't be in the Oval Office. So he's setting up a deal with Kim Jong-un to be, well, he doesn't want to be his vice president in North Korea, but he wants to be like equal. So they want to rule the country together. He's going to introduce disinfectant as one of the national things used in North Korea to solve any issues, like if you've got a cold, flu, or maybe just a skin condition, either bath in the disinfectant or they inject it. So yeah, he's got a future in North Korea. It's an old song. It's all over now, baby blue.
Oh, that's an old song.
Yes,
Who's into it?
some bloke, some Sheila, not sure. I don't think it would any different. I don't know what Tony would think, but if we had a leader like that in Australia, um, we'd all be on Capitol Hill. We'd be pulling the windows out, the doors out, and the police would be helping us to remove him. Yeah, would not survive in Australian politics. Mind you, we don't have a dictatorship in Australia. We have a democracy, and one man doesn't make a decision. It's there's inner circles, like a quorum of 5 or 6 people that make fundamental changes and things, but one person running a country with the wave of a sabre saying this is how it's going to be, crazy. Yes. See, it's a century message meant for my daughter. You don't need to cut the grass or feed the dog. Oh, that's handy. Even though my electric lawnmower, which is powered by the sun with solar panels, it's cost me nothing. I think the battery would be flat by the time I got to the UK. I'd feed the dog, no problem.
She sent it to the wrong person. That's funny. Oh, I've done that. I'll send him over to cut your grass, buddy. Not a problem.
Hello, Scarlett. Good news out of Oxford University. Scientists there, looks like they've got a vaccine on the way. And also it encompasses a double sword. It's not only hits the proteins of the virus, but it actually increases the response of your T cells in your body, which interested me more on a different level, because T cells would also help cancer patients. So I wonder if there's a side benefit to any of these vaccines that are being developed.
We seem to have a lot of locals tonight.
Yes, I think Donald's one of them.
What?
Yes, he's heard. He's come here to listen, take notes, get the Homeland Security onto me. He says CIA and FBI and everything else that's got an acronym. Well, he's not eligible to be elected anyway, Buttercup. He forgot to nominate in many states. So it can't happen. I personally think that if they'd have moved quickly, they can't do it now, but if they'd have nominated Big Bird as the third independent representative of America, I'm pretty sure he would have got a huge swing vote.
Actually, when do we have to vote again?
Not till next year sometime.
We have registered ourselves in the right area, haven't
Yeah,
we?
it's all
I
done.
was thinking of that the other day.
Oh, God. Will somebody throw Scarlett a rope down that rabbit hole? Just get her up for a couple of hours. Stifling down there, Scarlett. Now, come on. Hillary can't run because apparently it's been enforced in the US that lizards are not allowed to be nominated.
There's a Kit Kat there for everybody.
Oh, that's a bit rough, Jojo. Where are you going with that? You're voting for Kanye West, who's not even going to be on the ballot, so you just have to write it in, Jojo.
You don't have to check. What do you What did you make? A stew or a soup?
Well, it's a thick soup. It's a lamb and vegetable soup. I couldn't get bothered going up and down stirring it in a big pot, so I put it in the oven on 160 degrees. Who would that be, Buttercup? I could think of about 1 million people. Well, that won't hold though, Scarlett. Winning New York and California is not going to do it for him.
Oh, Tony Robbins is hosting his doing a documentary.
Oh, right. It's like China, is it?
Yeah.
He's a singer, Kanye West. I think he's married to one of them women with the big lips and the big ass, whatever that name is. Kardashian, something like that?
Huh? You know more than I do.
Yes. Yes, but I must say, I was a bit worried when Reagan was elected at first. But I have to say, a great statesman for the United States. Made some unpopular decisions. His best friend, of course, was Maggie Thatcher, which was not a good idea. But he was a very poignant and a good speaker and definitely thought of the people. Whether he did well is one thing or another, but he certainly did care for Americans. Gave a great speech when times of trouble and tribulation hit. And of course, the famous speech for Reagan was, "Bring down that wall, Mr. Gorbachev," which was a big moment in our lives. We've got to admit, breaking down of the wall in Berlin was sensational.
It's getting cold.
But you must have someone who is humble, but only thinks of the people of the nation first. That's number one. We don't have that in the US at the moment, in my opinion, at all. We have a lot of conflict and division and anarchy based on that fact of conflict and division. But it will all unfold, and Hillary won't be running as the Democrat. There's no chance in hell, Scarlett. That's your biggest of the night. Not happening. Like I say, the scales fell off a long time ago. Tell you, the only attempted coup I can see is from the Pentagon generals and the general staff, chief of staff. That's where there won't be a coup. It'll just be sorry, you're out. I have no doubt in my mind at all the Pentagon, general leaders within the party itself are certainly bracing to make sure that nothing underhanded takes place, particularly between November and January the 21st. I'm pretty sure a lot of Republicans are great Americans first, and they don't want any hanky-panky that'll be taking place. The truth is coming. Well, if the truth was coming, it should be here by now, Scarlett. I don't think we'll see Donald Trump trussed up like a turkey and led out of the White House. I don't think he's that foolish at all. That won't happen. And I'm pretty sure there are safeguards in place from senior Republicans, generals in the Pentagon, and the Chief of Staff. They would realise what's going on. Oh, that's all coming for another reason, Scarlett. Burning, looting, graffiti, that's happening as we speak. The economic crush will see a lot of bad and a lot of good from people. So you support two people, Trump and General Flynn. What about the other 7 felons that he had in his associate list in the White House? You know, the ones that went to jail, prison. We don't talk about them. Okay, no, I'm not even going to mention them, Scarlett. You should know about them. Of course, he just released one, didn't he? I'm going to let him go. He's a good guy. Should have served 4 years, but no, he's a good guy. Let's name them. Actually, just type in Google felons who worked for Trump. You don't need me to tell you. So Roger Stone's in that list now. You like Trump, General Flynn and Roger Stone. No worries, Paddy. Flynn was set up, right? Stone was set up, right? Apparently. I actually have to go and check on my lamb and vegetable soupy thing. It's like a thick soup actually. It's got parsnips, carrots, potatoes, all sorts of goodies in there. Take them with me. Am I supposed to film that if I'm going to be lifting it out?
Which one you want?
This little one here. Apparently we're going to look at this thingy I'm cooking.
Oh, it's warm in. It's warm in here. Do you want the chopping board so you don't have to walk so far over here? I think. Yeah, I just prefer that you don't have to carry it so far.
Okay, it will be hot, so we need a procedure. A couple of tea towels, so I don't burn my little fingerers.
You can put that one in the wash when you're done.
Why?
Because it looked like I had a mark on it.
Okay. I'll put that down to the kitchen stuff. Ooh, this is sizzling.
No, not the kitchen staff.
Oh, oh. Oh boy, this is going to be hot. Need to get my stirrer up.
Is that potatoes in there?
Swede, parsnip, turnip, carrot, potato, lamb. Let's check the meat. Always got to make sure. Oh, it's falling apart. Look at that.
A bit more, eh?
No, that's good. Because I'm going to leave the lid on.
He's tasting it. Yep, lamb stew. Yeah, it is. Scarlet.
Oh, yum. That is good. Going to give it a little bit of a stir. Make sure all the goodies are below the moisture line. Turn the oven off. Because this thing will keep cooking about an hour and a half out of the oven.
Yep, with crusty bread, because it's one of those casseroles dishes.
Yum.
Oh, look. Yes, I was just about to. Look what we did, Butty.
Potatoes.
See?
Dirty potatoes.
He
Real potatoes.
bought this racky thingy because we really had nowhere to put the veggies. And then we went to a cheap shop and bought the little trays, which I like.
Bamboo trays. Yeah, it looks good. And I actually got little slots on the bottom of the bamboo trays so it won't fall off.
Because we don't really have a space for the veggies. Oh,
Oh, and dark. You can take it. I'm just going to put it.
it is dark. All right, everybody wants, yeah, it's tidy and because of where it's situated, sort of in the, well, it's not darkish corner, but better than out, no windows or whatever. And in the middle of summer, well, we'll have the aircon on, so it's not going to get hot and spoil. They all want a bowl of soup.
Oh, it's yum.
I'll give it to you to plug yourself back in.
Righto. I've not been ignoring you. I've been on duty. But no, it's delicious.
And crusty bread.
Probably cooked that for about an hour on the stove top. And then, because I get up every 10 or 15 minutes and stir it, and I didn't want to keep doing that. So I wanted to slowly braise and cook it in the oven, and I did that for about an hour. Which reminds me, I've got to turn my timer off. Turn timer off.
I stopped the timer.
That's very kind of you. Thank you.
One day she's going to turn around and say to you, I'm sick of putting the timer on for you.
No, it was yum.
Yeah, it's all going well, Paddy. Scarlett wants 2 bowls.
Oh, you're welcome to it. I think there's only enough for about 20 people. Yeah, if you had something like that near a window, it'd be a disaster. But because it's in the corner between the old house and the new house,
Yeah.
next to the fridge, there is no light that hits it. Hello, Carolyn.
And like I say, in the middle of summer and the heat of our summer, we have the aircon on, so it'll be okay.
But it's never that hot inside. But
Well, we had the odd
Yeah.
time last year. Long time no see, Caroline. What you been up to?
she can't tell you, it's a state secret.
What you been up to, Caroline? We're just waiting for the arrival of the next grandchild.
Which is imminent. Oh, well, you're nearly done, Paddy. That's the main thing. I always think about life as having chapters. Like you might work for someone for 7 years and do something for a couple of years. So there's little chapters in our lives. Not all are pleasant, but as long as you can move on from them and create a new beginning for yourself, it's good.
Yep.
Took a YouTube break. Good idea. I think Scarlett just made a political statement. Change is good.
Well, why would they keep your deposit?
Can't keep your deposit.
So in the past when we rented or occupied a premises, whatever, we always videoed it before we put
Yep.
any furniture in.
Before and after.
Yeah, we videoed it before, during and after. So if they ever said anything, well, here's the video, can't come back at me.
I did quite a lot today, I realised. I painted the front veranda, most of it. I went shopping. We went shopping. I cooked heaps of sausage rolls, which I didn't do a video on. You've already seen that. There to be for the emergency food relief at the hospital for my daughter, my son-in-law and my wife who are going to be there. We can't have any more people, that's the max. So I'm making up sandwiches, sausage rolls,
We're gonna have a,
just in case the Holocaust comes and they have no escape.
we're gonna have a party, a birthing party.
No, I think that's one of the things that, because of the economy going tanking, Paddy, that's going to be a major issue all around the world, not just the US, but all around the world. When people in our country can't afford their mortgage, can't afford to pay their rent, there's been a holiday period, the banks and landlords haven't been able to boot people out. And it ends in September. And a lot of the support structure money sort of starts dropping off in September. That's why it's not going to be a good month all around the world.
Not yet, Caroline. we're just waiting for her to start labour anytime. Like, she's at that stage where she could go any time.
It won't be long. Housing booms and busts generally can be spasmodic, but in general, it's quite easy for me to say the housing collapse in my country is coming, and it won't be that much different in the US again. But it's not really a housing crisis, it's a debt crisis, just like it was in 2007 and 8. I would err on the side of caution buying a house now, I must be honest. When it tanks in my country, you buy, an average house here is 600,000, and if it drops down to 300,000 and you've taken a mortgage on it, the banks still want their money.
Well, I've never heard that. Even a property manager here has a lease, Paddy. How the hell? What does this company? How does it?
Well, it
how
seems
do they
like a
work?
good clause for kicking people out if you don't have a
Yeah.
lease. It's going to be very competitive on the workplace as well. Prices for income will fall based on supply and demand. Not many jobs. Employers will be a bit unscrupulous and say, well, it used to be $22 an hour, now it's 16. You want the job? Because that's just a repetition in what's happened in the past. People get taken advantage of. I think the minimum wage in Australia is close to $23 an hour. That's the lowest you can be paid.
Yeah, at a certain age.
No, that's adult age.
Yeah, not like the 15-year-olds that work in
McDonald's.
they don't get $20
No,
an hour.
no, it's an adult wage, minimum 23 something an hour. YouTube life coach, he says, sell everything and buy a van and don't work and become morbid obese.
Life coach.
I'm sure there's going to be in the future, Jojo, I could be wrong, but I have this gut feeling there's going to be a huge community, and I mean that literally, in the morbid obese van dwelling community. They don't actually go anywhere. They just park outside any sort of area where there are several fast food outlets to choose from.
Or coffee.
And they, after a while, probably need to put something underneath the axles because the tyres will go flat, and not a good thing. Yep. There's one good thing in this, and that is a lot of people have found that working from home is possible. We've had the technology for 20 years. Companies have been reluctant to do so, worrying about productivity and the such, but I think it will be more and more the case. I worked from home for many, many years.
Yeah, Paddy, I think we've been down that road too. That's a good saying, actually. Made $1, go where 20 should have. Very good.
Just chuck 10% of your income away every week. Doesn't exist. If you earn 2,000 a week, 200 goes into a non-touchable account. Not a 401k. Just an investment portfolio, which you're not getting much back these days. If you're lucky, it'll be 1.5%. If you're lucky. But don't touch it. Nothing to do with your 401k or superannuation. Just 10% of your income away every week. You will be amazed. There's certainly a sense of security when you don't owe anyone anything except the fundamentals like land rates, the land taxes as you guys call them.
Actually, what they call them land taxes, we call them land rates. Our land rates include what? When we
Deep
pay,
sewage,
yeah.
rubbish collection,
What else?
supply of the deep sewer. That's a separate payment in amongst it. It's about $4,000 or $4,500 a year. Property tax, yep, that's what we're talking about. We pay ours quarterly, just automatically. That's a good way of doing it, Scarlett. Every $5 bill. It's the $4 bills you look out for.
$4 bill.
Yeah. Gee, that's cheap. $600 a year. You wouldn't get that in Australia.
Oh, $600 a year. And that includes your rubbish and stuff like that, Jojo.
It'll be, well, Buttercup will be deep sewage, rubbish collection, roads and maintenance in regards to the area she lives in.
Wow, Buddy seems high.
Yeah,
$3 to $350 a month.
it's about $4,000 or 4,000 quid or $8,000 a year.
Oh,
My house tax alone is $7,000 per year. See, that's a bit rough, isn't it?
wow.
You buy a property and then you've got to keep paying for it.
Well, actually, Mum and Dad's property tax was high because it was
Yeah,
property.
yeah.
Because it was acreage.
Yeah. The truth about any property, and Jojo is quite well versed on this, but the truth is, over 100 years, the increase to your property is no more than 1% per year. And you can do all the research you like on that, because I've done mine years ago. That's how it works. Yes, you'll have a 10% increase one year, 15% fall in 5 years' time. Over 100 years, the property will value increase to 1%. We don't use a lot of coin in Australia, I'll be honest with you.
Yeah, they got rid of some of our coins over the years too.
Backed by gold standard. Good luck with that one, Scarlett. 1973. Thanks very much, Tree. 1913. It started.
That's like stamp duty on that buying a house is ridiculous.
Oh, stamp duty in Australia is horrendous.
What's it in the US?
I think we paid,
10.
it was over 10,000 just in stamp duty, which
Yeah,
is for
but-
someone just to say thank you. They
Yeah.
don't give you anything for it.
That's what I'm saying. I don't understand what that's for. And then when you,
It's a revenue raising.
whenever you sell or buy, you've got to pay that damn
Yep.
thing again.
If this house sold 10 years in a row, it'd be the same amount of stamp duty every
Yeah.
time.
It should be a one-off stamp duty, that's it. But then it's the poor bugger initially who has to pay it.
Oh, that's good, Buttercup. I would like to see any first home buyer not pay stamp duty at all. Well, we don't. At the moment, things are going well with our solar. We're not paying electricity at all. I still may consider when they offer a subsidy on getting a battery to get one.
Oh, I haven't done that yet.
Yeah, I think it'll be coming sooner than later, though.
So, Paddy pays property tax, but garbage is through an independent company. So your property tax doesn't include your garbage being picked up, Paddy. Is that what you're saying?
So there are no federal taxes on your property where you live. It's only state and local government. Yeah, we'll have to get some crusty bread tomorrow.
I will just invite Scarlett over. She can bring, and Buddy and everyone. They can bring crusty bread.
Sounds fair.
Might not be crusty by the time they get here.
We haven't got a massive array, but we've got 6.6 kilowatt. And middle of winter today, it was 25 degrees here, but that's not due to solar input. It can be higher or lower on any given day due to cloud, but we got 23 kilowatts of solar power today
No.
in the middle of winter.
Oh, okay, okay. So our property tax includes our garbage being picked up.
Yeah, sewage, council rates all come every 3 months, don't they?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ooh, we're living, well, that's like here, the houses down there near the water pay different insurance to what we do.
Oh yeah, no, we're probably about 200 feet up from river. All right, Tony, you were off to bed an hour ago.
No, it's
I know what
getting
you've
the
been
kids-
doing, Tony.
He was getting the
I
kids
know what
ready.
you did last winter.
Have a good sleep, Tony.
Good night, baby cat.
And it depends what suburb you live in Australia as to what your insurance is, the cost of your insurance of house or car content, isn't it?
I don't know what I had, but I spent 24,000 and I have not paid electric for over a year. 1,500 a month, God.
Wow.
What are you running, a thermonuclear power station,
Well,
Jojo?
yours is paid for itself, Paddy. I mean, Jojo.
Yeah, no, 1,500 a month's ridiculous, isn't it? I'm glad you're paying zero now. Welcome to the club. It's not that I'm frugal, don't get me wrong, but I will always go through the house to turn off a light and do
Mate,
things like that.
Excuse me, you're making out I leave the lights on.
You do sometimes.
No, I don't.
The kids come round and leave telly on, the lights on, the air conditioner going. So I go do, turn everything off.
But sometimes, some things, it's better to leave it on because it costs you each time you turn it on, off, on, off.
Not with LED, it doesn't. LED is a different consumption.
So you just, with LED, you best just to leave it on.
No. The old theory would be things like a fluorescent light. There's a startup required for the chemical in the light itself, so that
Yeah.
draws a lot of power. And even the old incandescent bulbs draw a lot. Like a 60-watt globe has, this is a 10-watt
Yeah.
LED, which is equal to a 60-watt in light, in lumens it's
Yeah.
called. But it only runs at a sixth of the cost.
Yes, Paddy, that probably,
Easy solution, Paddy. You can stay where you are as long as you buy a houseboat.
I mean, we like the water, but to be honest, I would not want to live on top of the water. I don't really want a beachfront view where it's that close. Maybe a river would be alright, or a lake, but I don't know.
Yep, that's excellent, Jojo. Light sensors. Uh, 1,600 SF. My ignorance. What is SF?
Yeah, lake, probably I'd be alright, or river, yeah. But I'm not, I like to go to the ocean, but I don't want to live where it's at my doorstep. A lake and a river is a different thing.
Oh, look, the price of solar panels now in Australia are ridiculously cheap. And I mean that. And the government subsidises.
Yeah, so you'd
Square feet. Ah, okay, got you now.
you'd be one to live right, have the ocean on your doorstep, wouldn't
I
you?
could do, yeah, yeah. Or a
I-
river, right on the river.
A river or a lake, yes, not the ocean. Yeah, that's right, Scarlett. That's what I think of. Oh, look what's happened. Where was that? What is that in Queensland?
No, that's the New South Wales coast.
Where
They're having erosion, something terrible.
they're having terrible, and half their houses have fallen down because of the erosion, and this whole street.
See you,
How many
Jojo.
people-
Have a good day.
See you, Jojo. How many people had to move out of their house?
Oh, they forced them to leave, yeah, because
Well-
backyards were falling into the ocean. Like, report on the weather where we are right now. It is the middle of winter and it is 17 degrees Celsius at nearly 9 p.m.
It's cool breeze.
It's nice, Eddie.
What's that noise? It might be rock falling or something
I'm not
falling around.
Okay, 62F. It's not uncomfortable.
Yeah, it sounds about right.
So, not having the lamb stew tonight. We'll have it tomorrow, but we'll get some crusty bread. That'll be yum. Yeah, for us, it's cool. 17 degrees, or what you said, 62, is cool for us. So we're both wearing jumpers, and the wife is wearing a dressing gown.
Yes, just slight breeze. It's not blowing the gale like Buddy likes, where it just whips your hair around your face.
I know it sounds incredulous to believe, but 80 degrees Fahrenheit, I'd still be wearing a jumper. Until if it was a nice, really sunny day, then I might take it off. But if it was just cloudy and 80 degrees, it's cold for us. 100 is warm, but we'll sit outside in 100 degrees.
Yeah, it's just when it's humid, it's the problem. Are you still doing your walks, Buddy? In the 100-kilometre
More importantly,
gale,
is your butt doing the walks?
100 gale winds?
See, 30 degrees is a nice, comfortable temperature for us, and that's about close to 90. We
Yeah,
like
30,
30.
yeah.
30 is a good temp. Because we're fairly close to the coast, in the middle of summer it can be 110, and then the sea breeze comes in between 11 and 3, depends when it hits, and drops the temperature down to 80.
Oh, that's true, Buddy. So, what about your hedgehogs? Have they been visiting? Hedgehogs matter.
But the simple thing to do, if you live in a hot climate, you pick the smallest room and put a small air conditioner in there. Just have it ticking over. Might take the temperature down to a nice comfortable temperature. The rest of the house can be hot. And in the evening you can open everything up to cool it down. You can spend a lot of money on a little room keeping cool. But we only need to keep our body cool, not the whole damn house. I go to people's houses and every room is at like 20 degrees or 18 degrees on the air conditioner. You think, well, no one's in these rooms. I bet you, is it a split system? It's got a motor outside, Scarlett, and a unit inside. You wait to see the kangaroo poop. That'll get you going, Buttercup. along with the camel poop, water buffalo poop. We got more poop than you can imagine. 2 window units. Do you know what horsepower they are in the old language? Half horsepower or 1 horsepower? Hello, Mel. The youngest member of YouTube has just arrived. All of us in here are elderly people. But not Mel.
Speak for yourself.
Spring chicken is Mel.
Yeah, Scarlett told you 14.
14 BTU. Okay. That'll keep you nice and cool.
You just missed the stew Mel.
Yum.
See, it's made a lamb soup stew thing.
Yep. I guess you got one for where you live in the lounge, or the kitchen, and one for your bedroom. Did you get that message I sent through my missus to you, Mel, regarding those 14 120 by 120 2.1 long posts? Because I'm not
Yes.
sure whether you have done that yet.
Yes, she did. She messaged back and said they were too small.
Too short.
Too well, yeah.
Yeah, okay. All right.
Yeah, Stoopy. There you go. Stoopy, elderly Stewie.
Elderly stew thingy, yes. Just give me a straw. Thank you, Nurse Mel.
Yep. So
Oh,
put one in the
delicious.
lounge and one in the bedroom. Yes, sometimes Seeds and I can be like that, Patty.
I don't like heat. Like, we only have, in the last week, 2 or 3 times, the missus has put on the heater, or the reverse cycle on the air conditioner, on 18 degrees Celsius. Now, that sometimes is too warm for me.
I feel the cold more than you, and
Yeah.
you feel the heat more than I.
Patty has the password. Fool me once, fool me twice. I would never, because you often say, oh, turn it off, and I'm thinking, no, it's okay. If I get too hot about 4 in the morning, I'll just get up, have a coffee and come outside. Because the heat I just don't like a lot of heat at night time.
No, we don't usually have it on, but just some nights. And once it's warm, I couldn't be bothered to get out and turn it off. Mel comes in and then she's be right back in already.
She's gone, just like that. Just come check on the old folk. Just dropped in. Loves cold even in winter. I don't, as long as I've got the top part of my body warm, I can sit outside in winter with the shorts on. That doesn't bother me. Sneaky Scarlet.
Scarlet.
And all that was in the safe was some Playboy magazines.
I've got a grandson like that, Paddy. He wears shorts and a t-shirt in the middle of bloody winter. Don't he?
Yep. I know these things, Scarlet.
Scarlet.
Yes. I can't let my sister find these.
That reminds me when Terry was younger. One of our sons, we had a cyclone, and of course it was pretty bad, damaged the shop. The local milk bar had to throw all the magazines out. And his Cherry and one of these other boys, they found all the Playboys and then went round selling them. Selling them to the
Kitties for
contractors.
sale.
I mean, some of the things that kid did when he learnt how to do a tie, I think it was about 12, and we went to the shop. He went and tied every tie up that was hanging on the tie racks into the tie knots.
Oh, women are not the weaker sex. They are the fairer sex, Buttercup. I'd be more than happy if the whole planet, all the countries that were led by presidents or premiers or leaders in general were women. I have no problem with that.
That's like listening to that podcast, Carl, when he made up the flowers and the pots and went and sold them. I did that as a kid. I grabbed some wildflowers, made up bouquets and went around the street selling them.
Like Carl Pilkington.
Yeah, I did.
Jeez.
I was,
All right.
yep. I think
The
I
Hand That Rocks the Cradle. That was a very interesting book. Is the hand that rules the world? Not sure about that. I agree, Buttercup. You'll get no disagreement from me. As long as all the women that are running the countries are really women, Buttercup.
Oh, everybody's the best, Patty. All the chatters make the room as well.
I don't. Oh, thank you very much, Patty. Good. No, it's a collective here. Not a socialistic collective or communistic collective. It's a fair and equal system. Women don't want their sons to go. I don't want my sons to go to war. I don't want my daughters to go to war. War, for me, and I made this saying up probably 30 years ago, is old man's anger for young men's blood. Never a truer word will be spoken in regards to the reasons of war.
What's the time?
Oh,
What's that?
not always, Scarlett, but they have more of a level thinking process. They're not impetuous and make decisions on the run. They will think about things and then go through the pros and cons. A lot of male leaders just say, it's my way or the highway. You're either with me or against me, which is not compromising anywhere. It's just telling you what's going to be happening.
I have to.
Traditionally, Buttercup, wars were simple, very simple. They were to get land. And Wales, where you live, had an incredible history of, I don't know how many kings were in Wales, but there were lots of them. And in Ireland, I think it was over 1,000 provinces in Ireland. Can you believe that? It's not a very big island, but they would fight and take each other's land.
That reminds me of the latest scam, and a lot of Australians have been taken by it. Pay $49.95 and you become a lord somewhere over in England or Ireland and all that.
Is that the same company selling plots of land on Mars?
No, it was, I read it on the online news.
Scarlett says testosterone can be a big problem. It can be particularly on YouTube with some of the women. Well,
Wow, her hospital show should be on tonight.
yes, all those inane things, Buttercup. You now own a star.
Yes, yes, I know.
Hello,
but-
chick.
I just named a star after myself. I can do it. I don't have to pay anyone any money. What is it?
No,
$100
it's true.
or something, or 200, or is it more? To have a star named after you,
You can actually own a star.
or own it, or whatever. Yeah. I mean, come on. It's like billions. Where's that money go? Who's
In fact,
doing
I
it?
think the big obese van dweller owns one of the planets. I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure it's Uranus.
Uranus. Yep.
I have no problem with soldiers at all. I have a problem for the reason they exist. Both my grandfathers fought in France in World War One.
Yours were Navy or Army?
Army
Army.
and Air Force. It's one of those weird things, Paddy. We've been to Vietnam, and I've got to tell you, they're lovely people, but they don't call that war the Vietnam War. They actually call it the American War. That's what they call it.
Chick, did you know Scarlett has air conditioning? Just thought I'd,
Hmm?
that Scarlett's got aircon now. It's just Chick's been having problems with hers. Or
Oh
hasn't
yeah,
put it in
Scarlett's
yet.
got air conditioner, chick. You need to get yours organised. See, I don't
Yep.
work on that principle about them keeping us free, Paddy, and I'm not having a go. You don't take this the wrong way. They're not there to keep us free. They're there to be used by the manipulative older leaders of the planet to get their way or will. Do you know what I mean? It's not a case of that they keep us free. We are free. And it's not because of their service that we are free. I don't say they fight for our freedoms either. They fight for the reasons that the people sent them there for. Usually it's an ulterior motive. Gain by oil fields, control, get contracts signed, even before a war begins in some cases. Just check into Chevron, you'll see what I'm talking about. Oh, Dick Cheney, you associated with Chevron? Maybe, could be. Just doing the right thing for our country? Well, for my pocket. I was just outside and ran in as soon as the corona came upon me. The sunlight. Sunlight gives you a lot of goodness, actually. Freedom is not free, but we have to understand why we have to fight first. It's not as if suddenly 500,000 men stand up and women and put on uniforms and go to a cause they think is the right thing to do. Talk about the Vietnam War. A lot of people got conscripted. Didn't have a choice. No freedom in that.
Oh, is there a video on that chick?
With a pair of shears. Don't do that. My grandfather had a conversation with me because my other grandfather on my mother's side would openly talk about how he felt about the war in the First World War and how it was there were lies all the time and people dying for no reason. From things you don't even think about, dysentery, all sorts of terrible things, foot rot. But my other grandfather only ever mentioned the First World War once to me because I asked him, I said, my other granddad told me a bit about the war, can you tell me a bit? And he said, all you need to know, my grandson, is wet socks and bad food.
Yeah.
And that's it, all he ever told me.
Here in
And
Australia.
I get it.
And here in Australia, we can go to the post office, and it has to be small, but we can do up a care package, and we don't have to pay, and it gets sent to the troops wherever they are randomly.
Oh yeah, no, that's free. Like
Yeah, it's free. We don't.
Christmas cards or even
Yeah.
things like gift cards and things like
And
that.
little packages. You just buy
Yep.
what you want to give them, and You take it to the post office and it gets sent free.
Oh, if you ask any serviceman, I used to do fishing charters. I used to take up to 20 people out at a time. And a friend of mine who was at a bowling club said to me, can you take me and my mates out? He hadn't seen his mates for 15 years. This was, I'm guessing, about 99 or something like that, 98. And we took them out and they didn't fish. They did drink. And they all took turn in telling their story. I just sat there and listened. Some very racist things were said, some very things that you wouldn't want to hear, but it was their truth. That's the difference between a perception of a war and the soldiers that fight it. And one of them actually said to me, he said, we do become inhumane when you live in those conditions. Because he came up to me and he said, I hope you're not shocked by anything you're hearing. I said, no, it's intriguing. But they all suffered. You could tell looking at them and the stories they told.
Oh, well, that's a word I haven't heard in a long time. Scarlett's away from the computer doing chores.
All right, air should be taking the pick down the back packet, cutting up the soil and dragging the plough with the shoulder strap, of course.
We used to have a hand mower chick. I don't mind them.
Well, you can use the electric mower any time you like.
No, but you remember the hand mower we had, the push mower?
Yes.
Remember Andra?
There's one thing that's certain that every soldier would tell you, war does not solve an issue. It generally creates dozens of more issues.
What channel is that my hospital show usually on?
SBS, I think.
SBS, isn't it?
Yeah.
Let's have a look. No. Oh my God, it's not until 11.
Used to riding on the bag, we pushed them all out front. Have you thought about getting some sheep patty? They taste good and they're excellent lawnmowers. We've been waiting for you to come up and see
We've
that.
been waiting for you.
That's what we call a lure, and eventually we caught you. That was a VMAC prop.
Again, Butty. Who's at the door this time? Take us with you, Butty. Mel hasn't come back.
No. She's probably off on a young channel with the young people.
A green tea Kit Kat, never heard of it, and I don't think I'd like it, because
No.
I don't like green tea.
Don't mess with the chocolate.
Leave the chocolate alone. Green tea Kit Kat. Everybody is saying it tastes like green tea.
Nine 10 a.m. in Kentucky. I imagine you're having quite a warm day again, Patty.
It is 9:10 here. PM. Creme brulee Kit Kat. Oh,
Hit with a torch. Melt it. Eat it.
Brulé, actually. Oh, porpoises, dolphins. Oh, take me with you.
They're actually technically
Yeah,
different.
I know, they're different. I was going to say dolphins. Take me with you, VMAC.
In Mandurah, which is not far from here, there's a canal system
Oh, I love
full
dolphins.
of dolphins. I used to swim with them.
There's a video on my channel of dolphins that when we went down to the foreshore.
Yeah.
It's Wednesday night. Yeah.
Yes, we're heading for Thursday. We'll tell you what happens while you're still in Wednesday.
We're in the future.
They chased the Kaplan School in.
What's a Kaplan?
I don't know whether that was a typo.
It must be a fish.
Maybe he's talking about school kids. She's talking about being chased by the porpoises.
No, I think it's, I don't know.
A small
That
cold
is
water fish,
fish.
Kaplan. Okay.
Kaplan.
Dolphins here would chase what we call mullet up onto the beach, and the dolphins would actually push themselves up onto the sand, turn sideways, and pick them up. They zoom along the edge of the water, and the mullet jump, and they end up jumping onto the beach. Dolphin lifts itself up. You see the eye moving backwards and forwards. They flip forward, turn sideways, and chomp.
Yeah, the aliens.
Tell you what I do see in the US coming up, and I've read, I'm sure you've heard and read the reports as well. There's a lot of school teachers quitting. A lot of school teachers are not going to go back to school.
Them's good eating. Oh, okay.
That one's good eating. You sound like you're from down south. Do you know?
No one.
So we're going to buy some more paint tomorrow. If I didn't paint, I wouldn't use tins of paint I have, but I'll keep painting. Newfoundland. Quite a few in Australia actually. It's quite, you don't mean to chuckle, but they talk funny. They make. Our things will eventually get back to normal, chick. Just when there are extraordinary times, we need to do extraordinary things. Oh, no, it will be temporary. I mean, in the context of time, 4 or 5 years may seem a long time, but that's quite temporary. But I think it'll be less than that.
Well, things change.
We are a unique species on the planet. We have the ability, and have always had so, to adapt. whatever the circumstances have been. I talk funny. Draw, southern drawl, even without the L. You say draw, I'd say drawl. You probably could not understand anything I say.
You sound like Forrest Gump,
Me and Patty are like peas and carrots.
like a box of chocolates.
Sound like Patty grew up in the bayou. Chitlins, grits. That's a good statement because change always occurs. Nothing stays the same. It stays similar, but change doesn't mean bad. It just means adaptation is required.
Are you making your porridge?
By 2030 on UN website, the world looks completely different, so it should. The world should look different in 2030. There'll be no fossil fuel vehicles driving around. The energies that we've produced will be more efficient and clean. Hello, Nicoleska.
Hello.
It's been a minute. Time is fleeting. Let's do the time walk again. Yep, I agree with that statement. We need to live the best lives we can and make the best society we can in the circumstances we're in. Look, just imagine when the Nathaniels eventually got down to the bottom of Spain saying, shit, it's getting cold, and they died out. Well, as the adaptive Homo sapien said, oh shit, let's build a canoe
Should
and go
change-
south.
Just change the name because Nicole used to have a wrench.
Oh dear, Nicoleska's got no wrench.
You've changed your name.
I have all my teeth, and I wear shoes most of the time. When I'm not frolicking naked through the bayou.
Oh, okay. So, oh, damn, I can't even. I have to wait till this is finished so I can. go and-
Nicoleska's been spending 2 years on the space station. Yes.
I have to. Once you finish this, then I can go in.
You
I
can't
know
do
you
it.
can't do it from here anymore. I have to. Oh, I have to find it.
One world, one gender. Well, it's possible. One police, population at extraordinarily low numbers. No, that's not going to happen. The only way the world will lose its population is probably through a meteor, several Krakatoas going off at the same time, or something like that. I'd like to see, I mean, I've made this suggestion for a while, but I'd like to see the name of police changed to a peace officer. Why not?
Oh, got it. I am. I'm
Well, if it's on the UN website, chick, it must be true.
I still am subscribed. That's all right. I got it. I actually haven't, apart from the chat, I haven't actually been on.
Yeah,
Channels.
YouTubers in bikinis could be the end of the world. I mean, in my lifetime, androgyny is a fact. Oh, I'll be honest, I walk down the street sometimes and I'm thinking, I don't know whether that's a bloke or a Sheila. I have no idea. But I don't really care. Never have. But androgyny won't become complete because there is a fundamental difference between men and women. And I can't see that going away. Women will always be the softer, fairer sex. A man will be the aggressive nuts that he is today in 1,000 years.
So, I'm still subscribed to you, Nicole, anyway. I just had a look.
Bikini wearing 70-year-olds will be the least of our problems. What's our main problem, Buttercup? We need to know. Biology denies go over. Yeah, it doesn't matter who you are. It's how you are. What are you as a person? Are you a knobhead, whether you're male or female? Doesn't matter. You're still going to be a knobhead. And just men and women, for me, and I said earlier, I'd like to see more female leaders. They're more rational. They take time to think over an issue. So, but that is a very hard process to follow through with.
Yeah, Seeds will still have you on. It's just because you changed your name. It's, well, I don't know how that's working. Change your name, but I'm still subscribed to you.
Shopping time, I guess probably one of these. VMAC is going to be in the shopping trolley, or not even make it into the shopping trolley. Greedy banking baskets destroying us little folk, at least trying the best. Well, they've been doing that for about 400 years, I know of Buttercup. They're pretty good at it, mind you.
Why didn't you take us to the door with you? Told you, we can speak to anybody that knocks on your door.
Yeah, next time you get to the door, put me on. And I want to know, and I'll be saying, who are you? What are you doing here? Don't you give us any bother. Still haven't found like 50 people on here. Some of them are not worth finding, Nicole.
But the other thing, Nicole, is like if you can't, you used to be able to click on someone's name in the room and go to their channel. Well, you can't do that anymore.
No. Secret societies now.
So is your family well, Nicole?
Don't forget to put your mask on, chick. Well, when people have got next to nothing to Buttercup, there's not much you can take from them. And they've been very skillful in fleecing people for centuries. But the truth of progress and compound interest and everything was all put together, and you know, all of us in this room right now would have had wealth handed down to us that's not been stolen by the rich, and we would all be living an opulent lifestyle. But that's not what they want. They give you a little bit. They show you a really big apple pie, and you go to get a piece, they say, no. And they eat all the apple pie in front of you, and then there's a few little crumbs in the tin. And there, I mean, if you're good, you can have one or two of those crumbs.
Yeah, but I'm on my iPhone, Patty. I don't know if you can do that on with the Chrome extension. You say,
See you, Patty.
and Nicole,
Yes, you can if you had the Chrome extension. Too complicated.
what are you going to study? Congratulations on starting college.
Buttercup, it's one of those moments. Que sera, sera. Whatever will be, will be. The future's not ours to see. Que sera, sera. Doris, get your top off. La da 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 da. Imagine if she started stripping during that song. It'd still be the #1 video on YouTube for sure. La da 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 da. Flicks goes the thong. Woohoo! Bad Doris Day. We can hope for the future. We can plan for the future. But the future is not ours to see.
I'll look into it. I'll look into it, Patty, for the iPhone.
My volume super low.
But I think
You need to put your ear up against the microphone and headset, and then have a mobile phone so you can see the text. Well, I've heard a lot of people get angry about remote learning in regards to all age groups of children, and I get it, and it's a bearing and it's a problem. I've heard of stories of like 15-year-old girls looking after 2 or 3 younger siblings, so mum can still go to work.
Yeah.
That will happen, and that is legal. That's not illegal. But I'd like to see people realise that this is a process, And we can moan and bitch and carry on about it. We're not happy. But what VMAX said before is true. You must deal with whatever the consequences are at the time.
Oh, Nicole's training to be a chef.
I'm training to be a chef. But good, so it's a bit different. I only talk like this now because I'm going to be a chef.
But if she's going to become French when she becomes a chef.
But it sounds good, no? I could have been a chef, but I realised many years ago I prefer cooks. And it's like a lot of the really good chefs in the olden days on television would also say, I'm a cook. Chef is the title. I do not want to become French. For the love of God, limahoha ao.
Yeah, that's what I said. Nicole used to have a wrench, but because she's changed her name.
I've always only had one channel, and there's a load of crap on it, and I don't care.
Oh, there's nothing.
I actually got sent another check. Well, not a check. They deposited money into my bank again. YouTube, thank you very much. Google Corporation, very kind of you.
That's all your meditation videos giving you that.
It is. Some of the videos I made years ago still make all my money. I don't do anything. They just people watch it. No, Nicole, I don't even watch a lot of these channels, as you're well aware, and it boils down to it is really just the same shit on a different day. But people love that stuff. It's like old Sideshow Alley, where you go to a circus and there'd be little poker machines as a kid. You stick a penny in and have fun and ride around, and then there's a little dark lane with a little sort of candle light. It said Sideshow Alley. Now, if you went down there today, there'd be most of the characters on the bottom of YouTube have their own little tents, just with a little cup out the front. You want to watch the show? Just chuck in 99 cents into you, we can do that. Unfortunately, I've never been a great fan of drama for drama's sake. Drama happens in real life, but not manufactured drama. Like, I don't like reality shows and television. There's always basically someone going to be emotionally distraught through it, and that's part of the highlight of the show. No different than some of the YouTube channels. Controversy. Bullshit, basically.
Wow, that's not good, Nicole.
Had some real life hassles on here, had to get the police involved. Well, you make sure you do. Kick the bastards in the balls. Someone messed with me or my wife, you would be in court. You wouldn't even know what happened. I would move swiftly and subpoena you and drag your ass through the court and make sure that there was publications of your names in the newspaper. And I'd make sure everyone knew, legally, of course.
Well, as long as you're doing okay, Nicole, and it's good you're going to college, become a chef. It'll be interesting to follow you.
Is it a chef you want to become? Or are you thinking that you could utilise those skills to have your own business of some sort? Is that a thought that you've had along this line? Quite a few chefs I've known in the past have then gone out and specialised in one form or another, and they made a lot more money by doing that than remaining a chef.
Yeah, Nicole's always liked the Korean cooking. But that's good.
I want to do 2 years training and travel to South Korea. You go to North Korea for a lot cheaper. Mind you, the ingredients are a bit limited, and it's locked down by 3 in the afternoon.
Well,
You got, mind you, go to bed at 3, you always get up at 2 in the morning. So, yeah. No, stay at South Korea.
oh, that'll be good, Nicole.
Korean food, it has its unique flavour, that's for sure.
Okay. Now have a look.
You see, for me, Nicole's what I call, and not derogatory by any means, half Manc. Because my mum was from Manchester, and Mancunians in the old days certainly had their own dialect. And Nicole's got about half of it chucked in. So she's a half Manc. The Manc's being removed from the Mancunians. I only met one Manc when we were in Manchester, and there was a group of about, 6 people, and the guy started talking. I said, "You're the only Manc here," and he laughed. He said, "Yeah, you're right." I tell you one area that doesn't seem to lose their language or their pronunciation is a lot of Scots. They tend to keep it, even when they come to Australia. Like, I knew a guy for 30 years, and he was just like he was straight off Glasgow Street, and he'd been here for 30 years. They just don't lose it. The Irish lose a little bit. Life is not meant to be easy, but it's not meant to be that bloody hard. That's a good saying. If you ever make it back, we're going out to dinner. No, we're not. We'll go to your restaurant.
Yes, we go to your restaurant.
And I'll be saying, I'll have everything on the menu.
And yes.
And he'll bring out all these Korean. I said, no, hang on. It'd be 400 plates of Korean food. Thanks. Good.
I got it,
As
Nicole.
long as we like kimchi, we'll be right. Kimchi and custard.
If we ever make it back,
Kimchi and black pudding.
that's one thing I want to do, is I want to go back and visit all places we went. Well, but maybe do a different tour or just travel our own.
No, I'd probably buy
There's so
a
many-
car. Or, I don't want to hire one because that's a pain in the ass. If you buy a car, you lose maybe £1,000 when you sell it. Yeah, something about £5,000.
Yeah,
Sell it for 4. That's good.
or even you can do like 1-2 day tours, but then you get off
Russell
and you
Pepper.
stay at the place for a while, because there's so much, like, wanted to stay in York longer, wanted to stay in Chester longer.
Well, there's an easy way to test the heat of a chili. Obviously eat it, but the other way is to cut the tip off a chili, because that is where most of the venom will be, and put plastic over it and bash it, so it's just like juice. And then with your little finger, take a little dab, and then put it on your tongue.
Well, don't put a chili on your tongue, don't listen to him.
I'll eat chilies raw.
Don't
Heat
listen
doesn't
to
bother me.
him. Yes, there's one, that church near you,
If
Nicole.
you're here, I can show you where I am from. It's probably from, I don't know, Paris. Oui.
That church that's near you, Nicole, looks so interesting.
I did wander around my ancestors' homes in York, and they've kept a lot of the culture and heritage. Some parts of England haven't. Canyons are nice. I was teaching my daughter-in-law yesterday actually how to make chili and garlic spray as a pesticide for the garden. Now, I'd given her some of mine that I made last year, still good, shake the container, and she had aphids, and within a day they're gone. So she was keen to make a new batch, which is very simple. Just a handful of garlic, a handful of chilies, put them in a big bag, bash the crap out of them, or put them in a blender, it's up to you. In a bucket, just put a little tiny squirt of dishwashing liquid, or natural soap if you've got it. Put in the chilies and garlic mulch, if you like, and a really big kettle of hot water. Let it steep for about a couple of hours till the water goes cool. Top it up with the same amount of cold water, and then get a big stick and stir it every day for about 4 to 5 days. It smells like an Italian restaurant, but then you strain it and you use half and half. Half water, half the mix. And all the bugs hate it. That's cool. Gee. One thing with peppers you can do is you can freeze them. You don't need to blanch them. You can freeze peppers and capsicum. I chop them up, but you know what I mean? You don't need to blanch those sort of things. They can go straight in the freezer. I do it every year, don't I, with the capsicum?
Yeah.
I'll cut up about, I don't know, 5 or 6 pound of capsicum, you know, red, yellow, green. Cut them all up. Just throw them in the freezer. Things like carrots you need to blanch, broccoli. I did some broccoli the other day and it looks great. I just blanch it for about 3 minutes in hot water. A lot of people take it out of hot water and put it into ice water. I don't, because they cook it for about 4 or 5 minutes and they need to put it in cold water because it'll cook right through otherwise. Whereas I've learned over the years about 3 minutes, a bit more than 3, just take it out, put it on a cold kitchen sink, let it dry, drain and cool, and chuck it in the freezer. Twice actually. Once to get it to firm up, and then you take it out, shake it up, break it up so it's all individual. And your own broccoli. I mean, we had my son-in-law comment the other night, didn't he?
Oh, yeah.
He said, can I have some more of that broccoli? It was fresh broccoli, organically grown. It was yum. You have good and bad years, chick, with bugs, but chili garlic spray, it kills aphids, but it generally just pisses off all the other insects, and only for about a day or two, and then the good insects come back. A lot of insects aren't bad insects, so I don't want to deter them coming there. I just want to deter them from eating my produce. We're getting a lot of little side shoots on the broccoli. We cut the heads off the broccoli a few days ago, and I put a little cut in the top, like a cross, and that fires up all the little cavities between the leaves, and they send up little, so we're getting little broccolis coming up. After that, the plants will be coming out. Before I throw them away, I'll be cutting all the leaves off, chopping them up a little bit, and then boiling them or blanching them for about 3 minutes. And broccoli leaves are just like spinach or bok choy. Great. Just to rip out of the freezer whenever you need something green to go in there. Ants do a lot of pollination, chick. They really do. Grilled broccoli with a bit of oil and seasoning.
Oh, well, we could try that sometime. Never tried grilled broccoli.
If I've ever grilled broccoli, I've blanched it for a few minutes, Nicole. I tell you what you must try. You know, coconut cream. Not milk, coconut cream. Well, if you're going to grill broccoli and you like it crunchy, halfway through the grilling process, probably when you turn it, get a spoon and spoon over some of the coconut cream. I don't know why it works, but coconut and broccoli works really well. Swiss chard. Chard, I mean, in my garden I've got bok choy, English spinach, all sorts. But what it boils down to is that they're all green, they've all got heaps of iron in them. I've got probably 15 or 20 spring rolls up I made about 3 weeks ago, still in the fridge, just from all the produce from the garden. It's yum. You can produce a fair bit of food in a little area. You just need to work out growth patterns and how big they'll be and all those sort of things. But yeah, you can keep producing. We've got some nice, they look like half wine barrels, but they're not. They're handmade by a 75-year-old guy, and he only charged $20 a pot to me. And so we're going to oil the rest of them up. During summer, I'll be growing tomatoes, pumpkin, watermelon, all in those types of containers. And when the season's finished, all the tendrils of the pumpkins and watermelons will just be cut up and become compost.
Have to get a compost.
Sesame seed oil is good. A lot of people don't put I don't like a lot in, but you've got to put a good amount of sesame
No,
seed oil.
sesame oil, you only use a little bit.
No, it depends what you're after. In some Asian cooking, you put, you know, half a teaspoon of sesame oil, not just a little drop. I am getting some vegetables, courgettes and peas.
Oh, it's finally butty.
Yeah, just enough to coat. I've always found that combination of a little bit of soy, a little bit of hoisin. What's the other one I use a lot of?
Oyster.
Oyster and sesame seed oil. That's good to go. Just a mixture of that is good to go for most Asian stir fries. And it's even good to use like if say you fry chicken like General Tso, whatever they call it. Chicken in corn flour basically. And then you cooked it up and then you put that mixture in after it's cooked, put the chicken back in, yum. I've got Chinese wine, I use a little bit. But there is a general mix of 3 or 4 combinations of hoisin, soy, and basically you figure it out over time that what your flavour is you like. Yeah, Chinese vinegar is good.
Oh, well, your plants will be drunk if you plant them in there, chick.
We all use, always use apple cider vinegar.
Oh, I love apple cider vinegar.
Oh, don't worry about the smell. That's fine, chick. Just apple vinegar.
Oh,
It
apple.
sounds like
Okay.
a cider process.
I'll have to look that up. We'll see if we have that here. It's different. Apple vinegar.
Well, it's still cider
Oh,
process.
I know what you're talking about. Yes, I've seen it.
No, I don't mean it's cider. I mean it's a process of crushing apples, getting that fermentation. I do like balsamic vinegar. Little tip here, if you like a steak and you think, oh, I've had a few marinades, what can I try?
Then
Just get some balsamic vinegar, massage it into the steak, leave it for about half an hour, then cook it, and you'll be going, wow, just plain old balsamic vinegar. The sticky stuff, not the loose stuff, you know what I mean?
yep. Send us a picture, Nicole.
I've got a few, I've probably got about 10 or 11 what we call Asian, because I love chili too. I like hot chili, and I use my old chili for the wife because she's a wuss.
Oh, shut up.
And sesame seeds themselves can actually be part of an Asian dish. In other words, you can just get uncooked sesame seed and toast it, and that gives a different flavour altogether. I like using lots of dried shallots.
Oh,
Sounds good.
Butty, that sounds yum. That should have been a photo moment, Butty. Where's my photo?
Red onion sliced thinly with delicious tomatoes sliced
Yes.
thinly.
I think
A
I've,
little bit of balsamic.
I think I've seen that in our shop.
Apple vinegar.
Yeah. I will try it.
Vinegar's very good for you. Pickles are good for you.
Yes, I will try that.
So how many of you ever made pickles of any sort? Pickle onions or any of those sort of things? My favourite is bread and butter pickles. Yum. Which is just cucumbers. I tell you what, have a look. You don't need to can
No, the
with
wo-
vinegar. If you go look on my channel, Nicole, and look for bread and butter pickles,
pickles, yes.
you'll see it's a bit of a drawn out process, but the principles of pickling are all in that video.
Yeah, you should give it a go, Nicole. I reckon you'd like it.
So a lot of people make fatal mistakes when they're first making any sort of pickles, like pickle onions. To get the best out of pickle onions, what you do is you peel all your onions, get a big bucket, and put in a big handful of salt. And people go, oh my God, so much salt. I say, no, that's all right. And nothing else, no water, just mix all the salt in amongst all the onions, put a towel over it, forget about it. 24 hours later, you take all the pickled onions and you wash them thoroughly. But that starting process, after you've made your brine up for pickled onions, is the key to magnificent.
Crispy.
It does more than that. It starts to penetrate the layers in a, well, salt was the original preservative of the planet. You know, no one had all these jars and things like that. You had urns or clay pots, and they would just pickle all types of food with salt. And I can prove it to you if you like. You can get the best steak in the world, you think, oh, that's fantastic. And I say, we're not going to put it in the fridge, but you can eat it in a year's time. I'll give it to you to eat. And they'll be going, what? All you do is get ½ inch of salt, put your steak in, put 1 inch of salt over the top, forget about it. Completely forget about it. Come back in 12 months, shake it off, give it a quick rinse, let it dry. Magnificent. Because salt was used that way to preserve meat and other things. But if you do watch that bread and butter pickle video, there's a lot of principles in that of any pickling. And I like my pickles to have a little, not super sweet taste, but just a sweeter than normal. I don't like bitter like you like.
That's what Scarlett
Cucumbers that are quite sour.
She makes the German one, and I love the.
Oh, I'll eat them.
Yeah.
It's just not my preference.
I love it. The funny thing is, I don't like dill. Like Mum will make a white, used to, bless her soul, a white sauce and add dill. But the pickles I like, sour, that has dill in it. That I eat and I love that flavour. Yum.
Yep, you can make pickled daikon. The best one I've seen is you know the thick shredder on your grater. Some people make it with cuts and cubes or whatever, but the best one I've tasted is shredded daikon. So it's quite chunky as a slither. That one I don't mind because you can use that in cooking, or you can have it in a sandwich. Depends if you can handle the heat. They're quite easy to grow. I think a good full-size daikon would only take 40 days from seed to harvest. A lot of radishes you can grow within 20 to 25
Another
days.
thing I love is radishes. Yum.
I'll start growing some for you if you want some.
Yeah, and Mark, if you start growing them, you'll lose them. Mark absolutely
Well, they
loves
did that
them.
down at
Yeah.
Augusta. I like the Easter egg variety, which
Yes.
is all different colours and shapes. Radishes generally, from seed to harvest, on average would be 25 to 30 days.
If that.
They're just incredible to watch grow.
Once they start to get to a certain point, you've got to watch them because they can go woody very quickly.
Mm-hmm.
So keep an eye on them, Butty.
And radishes for me, I like cut up raw, with raw onion and cheese in a sandwich. Simple. Or you can pickle them. You can pickle radishes within about 2 hours. Yeah. The thing about, you'd know this, Nicole, each daikon's different. It's one of those weird plants where this one's different than the other one.
I'd just pull them out of the ground, wash them and eat them.
Yeah, it does. 30 days would be a fair average.
Yep, they're quick.
They don't need much space. If you're smart, you grow the little round ones that grow to about as big as a cue ball, I guess.
Well, that's your
No
Easter
bigger.
egg
No
one,
bigger.
isn't it?
Tell you can get a pot as long as it's about 8 inches deep, Nicole, and say if you're going to go radishes, you're going to put about 30 or 40 in there. 8 inches deep, about 10 inches wide, and just keep it moist Don't flood it. Radishes don't like overwatering, but they grow so fast. In fact, I know there's a bit of a race between cress and radishes as to which is ready first, because they both grow very quick.
I just read Buttercup's comment.
All I've ever done with radish seeds is just drop them on the ground where I want them to grow. They get a handful of loose soil and just carefully cover them. Spray them so they're moist. Forget about them. Just keep them moist.
Oh yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah,
Nicole.
but if you had room in the house, you could grow a lot of micros. Like you can actually use radish before it's even finished growing within 10 days as part of a nutrition. They grow incredibly fast.
Yeah, they do. They look like nothing, and then you blink and you've got a radish. So that's why I said butter. You've really got to keep an eye on them after a certain amount of time.
Some of the foods you'd like to grow, and they're fast: bok choy, pak choy. Chinese cabbage needs a lot longer, but pak choy and bok choy grow before your very eyes, and you get second and third crops. All you do is you come up about an inch from the ground and cut all the stems off, and trust me, within a week they're half grown back again.
There's all sorts you can do and grow.
There's one secret ingredient to any garden is the sun. If you have the best plants and the nice pots and you put them in a place where they don't get much sun, they die. Where you live in the northern hemisphere, as long as you have a window facing south, you don't even need to plant outside. If you can have light come into the area from a southern facing window, there's a bit of a myth. There are lots of spectrums of light with direct sunlight. That's a fact. But plants need light. They don't necessarily need direct sunlight. Do they grow better in direct sunlight? Yes. But you can grow them just with light coming in through the window. Yep, that's what they use for kimchi. There's one we had that people always used to buy for kimchi. It grows about, I'm not kidding you, Nicole, 16 inches long. It's really tight and it's always pale green. It's yum. And they do take time to grow though. And they are susceptible for bugs. Just grow some bok choy, pak choy. They're so fast. Seriously. You can grow them from seed if you want to. Don't need many. Like if you're cooking constantly, you do rotation. As long as you've got about 8 to 10 pak choy or bok choy growing, and you cut them like I tell you, about an inch up from the bottom, they keep growing back. But then you succession plant. As soon as you start harvesting, you start planting more. So by the time you've finished the second cut, the other crop's coming through. Herbs are pretty easy to grow, but make sure all of your herbs are in direct sunlight if you can. It's a general rule. Yep. Sauerkraut's, I like it, but I don't like a whole heap of it. Like I like it as a side, but
I went off it for a while because I grew up on it, obviously, and had it a lot. Went off it, but now I'm starting to get the taste again. But my favourite is red cabbage.
can I make a suggestion, Buttercup? Can you start eating ice creams with popsicle sticks in them? Can you do that for me? So by this time next year, when you do plant those bloody seeds, you've written the name of the plant on that popsicle stick.
Yes, you know what you planted.
Well, Nicole, I can answer you. Even, this my grandfather used to say, and it's a great saying, even a bad gardener eats well. In other words, even if you're not very good at it, you're going to get something out of the garden.
I've got blueberries on my blueberry plant.
And they're early. They shouldn't really be here till August. they're starting. They're still not very big because we planted them in the middle of winter. So they've got some growth to happen in the next year. Yep. In Australia, to give you an idea, in our temperate climates, which is half of the country, you can start growing things like watermelon, pumpkin, tomatoes, chilies now, but only inside. In other words, give them a window where there's a bit of light, and when they're about 4 to 6 weeks old, or about 4 to 6 inches high, then you plant them out in the garden, which makes it the middle of September. If you do that with your plants, that you've got pots that they can have their first 4 to 6 weeks protected, they are much stronger and more viable for producing produce in the garden. If you plant seeds in the garden, it's still okay, don't get me wrong, but the general rule is if you can raise your seedlings and carefully transplant them into your garden when they're strong and firing up, you have a better crop, and then it's a lot easier to do a succession planting, like if you're growing lettuce. We only ever need about 8 to 10 lettuce growing because we pick the outer leaves. So we've eaten off that for 2.5 months.
Yeah.
We're 10. Down to our last one now, I must admit. But I'm prepping the garden shortly for other things. But particularly if you love Chinese or Asian food, the basics are spring onions, grow them. And a little tip with spring onions. You know when you buy them from the supermarket and they're in bundles of 9 or 10? Well, that's how they're grown. In other words, you poke your finger into the soil about 1/4 inch and you sprinkle 8, 9 or 10 seeds, don't worry about counting them, into the hole, cover it. They will grow as a cluster. Believe me, it's very simple. That's what the commercials do anyway. You can plant individual spring onion, but I can tell you as a bunch, it's also a stronger group. Wind, you know what I mean, heavy rain. So grow your spring onions like that every time. You just pull out the whole bunch, and it's like buying something from a shop. You can put a lucky band around it and a price tag if you like. It's up to you.
Pretend that you got it, bought it.
But always grow things in your garden that are most expensive in the shops. Like garlic is expensive. Here it is anyway. Chilies are expensive. Tomatoes are expensive. If you can handle those, because we eat lots of tomatoes during the summer, and if they're coming from your garden, 2 things, you know what went into it, which is no crap. Well, crap, yes, but no chemical crap. And it tastes different. All onions will regrow. It's true. Allium family it's called, which includes garlic, wild garlic. That's a good thing for your Asian cooking, Nicole. Wild garlic, but don't plant it in an open garden because it tends to go berserk. A bit like mint. Well, the old rule of thumb, no matter where you live on the planet, Nicole, is the coldest time of the year is when you plant garlic, and the hottest time of the year is when you harvest it.
That's about
That's
6 months.
oh no, it's a 10 or 11 month process. But it varies. There are microclimates where they grow a lot quicker. Yep, that's a good way of doing it. That's the old method of doing hanging chilies and peppers. Well, chilies mainly. Just get a needle and thread. I have done, and I don't have enough garlic to do it growing now, but I've grown lots of garlic in the past and I've braided them. It looks really cool. Really does. And it's so simple to pull off a chunk of garlic whenever you need it. But it must be in a cool, dry place, not directly in sunlight at all. Very simple, Nicole. Start off with the things that you like to eat.
Just start slow, you'll get there.
And things like snow peas, you'd use them. A lot of people don't realise it. You can rip the whole snow pea plant out, leaves and all. as long as along with the snow pea. You can eat them all. Eat it all. Doesn't matter. Just don't eat rhubarb leaves. Remember that. Never eat rhubarb leaves. Bad. Or tomato leaves. Not a good idea.
Well, just pots, Nicole. It can be done.
Yep. Yep. You can do that as well. Sprouts are easy, like radish. You can buy bulk radish seed and turn them into sprouts. They're yum. All right, Buttercup, have a good day. I'm glad the two men have fixed your problems
So your butter.
and your door works.
Yeah, just start slow.
Actually, I think we might even turtle off. It's getting a bit late here. As old folk have got to go to bed. Yeah.
Yeah, Mel never came back.
Not fools and horses, but it's next to it.
10 p.m. Here's the news from Australia. It's 17 degrees in the middle of winter still at 10 p.m. I'm sure it's the same where you are, but it is the middle of summer there. All right, one moment. Where's Nicole? Where is it? All right. Say something, Nicole. Say something now. Oh, there you go.
And don't change your name again.
Such easy. A flick of the switch.
Good to see you. Glad all's doing well and things are sorted and everyone's good in your house.
Oh, it's always ups and downs in lives. It's like, I've always said there's a yellow brick road in front of us. We don't know where it winds and twists and goes up and down, Dale, and all that. But we do know there's going to be piles of shit in the road.
And we've been pretty
You just
busy.
got to keep your eyes open.
Yeah, we've
You
been.
will stand in shit from time to time, but then you will be reminded that you should have been keeping your eye on the road, because shit happens.
And we've been pretty busy.
Yeah, the wife's been busy playing her games, and I've been painting.
Oh, shut up.
All right, good night, all of you. I hope whatever you're doing today is enjoyable, brings a smile to your face. And you don't have to have, and this is just a word of advice, you don't have to have cornflakes with kimchi. It's not a rule. So from all of us, that's the two of us, it's adieu, good evening, goodbye. War, beware the kimchi. It'll get ya. Till next time, have a good day.